Okay, great. Okay, now we can finally start the call. Sorry for being late. So today we're going to do a few things. We'll go over the release highlights in the last release 1.14.0, which just came out last week. We also just launched the Epoch 4 polls, which gives community a voice in determining which exchange connectors and strategies should be in the code base, and also allows community to prioritize what issues we address in the following month. Then I'll give an update on how Botcamp, our dev bootcamp, is going. We just started the fourth cohort. And finally, I'll give a demo of the new installation process for Gateway. We recently, Gateway is our DEX connector module. Users have historically had a lot of problems getting it installed and compatible with Hummingbot. So we recently moved it out into its separate repo, and now we have a new process I'll show you for linking the two together, and it should be much simpler than the prior version. And finally, we'll do an AMA. So hopefully this is this video experience with full HD color will be better than just doing it on audio. So let's get started. Oh wow! I think it's the first time some of you guys are seeing me on camera. I guess look more down to earth. Thank you. Well, I think that's it's probably a result of having gotten beaten down by all the turbulence in the crypto markets over the past few months. It's a lot more humbled and excited to just code and build stuff as opposed to trying to deal with FTX and all the craziness out there. Okay, let's get started. So first, let's go over the release highlights for version 1.14. I would say I'll just go over these release docs because I think these kind of really provide the best explanation of all the new stuff in a certain release. So what's new here, and this is a new transition, is now since we separated Hummingbot into Hummingbot and Hummingbot Gateway, two separate repositories, we offer you the ability to install both using Docker or GitHub. And the pathways for both are intentionally very similar. So if you know how to install Hummingbot, you should also know how to install Gateway with either Gateway with Docker or GitHub. But I think the recommended way that we think you should install Hummingbot, especially for Docker, if you're going to do something more complex, is with this new deploy examples repo. And later on, I'll show you how you can easily use this repo to basically install Hummingbot plus Gateway instances together in one single step. The other big thing we launched is the quick start guide. So this is because Hummingbot, when we first started, it was just really a simple market making tool. But over the years, as we've added more functionality, it's really turned into much more of a framework where people can build any type of custom quant trading strategy. So because of that, we've kind of really shifted our focus in terms of who the user is to a more technical archetype. And so this new quick start guide, it shows you how to basically start with just a simple hello world type script that prints the Bitcoin price to the log. And then the next step, you'll build a simple market making strategy, basically replicating the PMM strategy as a script. In the third exercise, we teach you how to launch a custom format status where you can basically display any type of variable you want in the status function. In the fourth exercise, this is where you're going to start to really, explore the power of scripts, because you can essentially just add any type of logic you want into your market making strategy. For instance, this is a very simple price ceiling, price floor that limits the price range where your bot's active. And finally, in the fifth exercise, the quick start guide teaches you how to make this a lot more dynamic. It uses a new candles feed feature we added in the last release to dynamically calculate the Bollinger Bands and use that to inform how the price ceiling and price floor are being set. So overall, we think this quick start guide really teaches you how to use Hummingbot in a more custom, in a more sophisticated way. And based on kind of the feedback from the community we've had, it's really the folks who've been able to customize their bots that have had enduring success running Hummingbot. So that was probably the biggest thing that came out in 1.14. Some of the other stuff we added, we also changed the installation section using the new deploy examples repo, and a bunch of other new documentation pages as well, like the candles feed docs, the orchestration module docs, and these new smart components that we added recently. Overall, documentation is going to be a big focus for us in the coming months because Hummingbot's becoming a more more professional, more complex code base, and we think documentation is the best way to allow the community to use it with confidence. So the community team, Klipanagi and Holy Roger, who are working on an orchestration module, have now shipped phase 2. So phase 2 provides more interfaces for subscribing to topics and listening to messages, and I think this module is going to get more and more sophisticated in the next few months, and we're really excited to see this interface that the team's working on that's going to stitch everything together, and I think it's going to really showcase what the orchestration module is capable of. So look out for that in the next couple of months. We also added the KuCoin perpetual connector in this last release, which since KuCoin is one of our silver connectors, well, we want to support them and continue adding new features. And so I think this connector, which is still in beta testing, we're still ironing out some kinks to this connector, should be something really useful for the community. And on the gateway side, we added a couple new connectors in this release. One was the XSwap DEX on the XDC chain, as well as Dexalot, one of our first CLOB DEX connectors, which is an order book DEX connector on the Avalanche blockchain. So and you can, there's also some other updates. So overall, this was a really jam-packed release, and I'm really proud of the team for both pushing out new features as well as merging in updates from the community. Overall, I think we're starting to get more efficient with updates as you're seeing, and I think it's a result of kind of like some of the process improvements that we've had a chance to make. Now that our focus is more on improving the top gold and silver connectors and less on trying to maintain every single change, every single connector in the code base. So I think that's why I think the governance process, even though it's still pretty new, we're very motivated to continue fleshing that out, because I think that by allowing the community to prioritize where we spend our time, it does allow us to hopefully really improve the code base, as opposed to spending lots of time maintaining it. Great. So let's go back. If there's any more questions, and please leave them in the chat about this particular release. Otherwise, I'm going to move on and do the next step in the agenda, which is to vote in the Epoch 4 polls. So just as a recap, polls are the process we use to tell the community, or have the community tell us how we should allocate our time. So we have 4 types of polls currently. The issues poll basically tells us how to prioritize our issues. So that one is this over here, this issues poll. So the issues poll, I'll vote on this one first, actually. So each of these, what I try to do on the community call is just to vote myself using my own fatality.eth wallet, just to kind of show you guys how I perceive it as a personal member of the community. Just as a caveat, this is not this is not promotion of any exchange or strategy. This is really just myself acting on my own personal behalf as an HBOT holder, trying to show you guys how I would vote, basically. So this issues poll is designed to basically tell us of all the 300 plus issues in the Hummingbot code base currently that are open, which ones should we actively work on resolving? So work on resolving means we either fix it ourselves, we investigate it and close it if we determine it's not a real bug, or we might assign the bounty to a developer. We actually track the status of these issues in our Hummingbot project. I think there's a project that tracks this. So if you go to I think the Hummingbot repository here, and I think projects, you'll see a project that tracks the priority issues here. So this priority issues board here tells you kind of the status of the issues that have been prioritized in the prior months and how we have been resolving them. So over here, so I would say I've looked at some of these issues already beforehand, and so I'm definitely gonna nominate this one here. This is the one that I'm sure many Hummingbot users have seen, where if you kind of load Hummingbot and some connector is not working, it's going to flag, it's going to throw an error because it can't retrieve the trading pairs from that connector. So this is a legacy connector that I think it just should be removed from the code base. So I think we should remove anything related to errors like this that are related to unworking connectors. I think also KuCoin perp is, to me, I think this is an important, because we are trying to really address some of these issues with KuCoin. So I think anything related to KuCoin or KuCoin perp, I think we should try to fix. And I also think, I think installation should also be important. So overall, I see lots of great issues that I think should be fixed this time. But I think just I would say, I guess because I guess I can vote for more, but in my opinion, these 5 will be the ones that I would try to prioritize in this release. So what this does, I should mention one change that we're making in this poll process from the last time, which is that we used to use a quadratic method to allocate the votes. And it was done because we thought it would make it fairer, but we found that it was actually hard to determine, how my votes were allocated because the numbers here would shift depending on some quadratic calculation. So this time around, we've made it simpler. So what that means is, however many HBOT you have in your wallet is going to be equal to how many votes you distribute. And so if you basically do like this, it will just evenly spread them out across these 5 issues. Okay, so now let's go to the other polls. So the other 3 polls are the ones we do only on a quarterly basis. So the sex poll tells us how much, which are the gold and silver sex connectors, and for the bronze ones, any connector that receives at least 100K plus HBOT is kept in the code base as a bronze connector. So the difference here is that the gold and silver connectors are the ones that we as a foundation actually maintain ourselves. So that's why in the last quarter we added, because Binance was a gold connector, we added the candles feed feature for Binance and Binance Perpetuals, which now lets people collect historical data and create TA indicators on Binance and Binance pairs. In the next quarter, we're going to create bounties to add similar candles feed features for the silver connectors, KuCoin, Gate, and Ascendant, or depending on what those connectors might be in the next quarter. By voting, and we'll also look to improve the gold connector as well by supporting more order types like market orders, staking or deposit and withdrawal. So basically, we're really going to concentrate our engineering and kind of bounty efforts on these gold and silvers connectors in order to make sure that we're continually improving them. So there's no requirement for the improvements to be added to the bronze connectors. And for the bronze connectors, we're actually not really going to take any responsibility for. It's really up to the community to submit them in as into the process and maintain them and so forth. So in the last quarter, we actually saw BTC Markets as a community maintained connector that was submitted, successfully got into the code base. And I think it's a good example of something where it's a small exchange. It's only available to Australian residents, but there's really no reason why someone from the community can't maintain that connector, use it, and make it available to everyone else. So we look forward to working with other maintainers to kind of get their connectors in code base. But we as a foundation will focus our efforts on the gold and silver ones in order to keep on advancing them and make sure they're good. So let me do the votes. So to me, I'm going to really try to focus on who I think that the exchanges that are working best and are safe and are available to the community. So I'm going to, I think Binance, KuCoin, and Gate are definitely three exchanges that are working well. Also, these three exchanges are also the ones that are providing the largest amount of fees, shared with us on a monthly basis. So I'll pick those. And so I also think that I think we should try to support Coinbase and Kraken more, because we are seeing some consolidation in the industry, and I think we should try to up level the number of top exchanges there. I'm also going to vote for OKX because especially with Binance getting investigated by the CFTC, I think that it would help the industry to have more exchange diversity out there. And OKX, they've always been one of the top exchanges. It's still, one of the most active ones. And I think, they seem to be, in a good position to take away some of Binance market share if Binance does, if more people are moving capital off of Binance. And then finally, I always like to support some of the smaller exchanges in the code base. So I'm also going to vote for BTC Markets and also in alt markets because I know that they're being maintained by long-term members of the community who I personally want to support. So I'll just kind of vote for this, and then that's the sex poll. All right, so that's a sex poll, and then the DEX poll works very similarly. These are all the DEX connectors in our code base. So this includes basically both the gateway connectors as well as some of the kind of like the DYDX and other ones and Loopring as well in the code base. So on the DEX side, I think it's the same. It works the same way. It's the top connector is gold. The next three are silver, and those four exchanges connectors are maintained by us, and we will try to improve them on a continual basis. And whereas the bronze ones are maintained by the community. So as I'm kind of the one working on Gateway a lot. So to me, I think we should. I do think Uniswap. To me, actually, I think Uniswap, in my opinion, we still need a lot of core functionality work on Gateway. So I'm actually going to limit how many exchanges I vote for here, because I think there needs to be more work done on the kind of the core experience, focusing on a few top exchanges before we go too broad. I think that with Gateway, historically we've always tried to bite off more than we can actually chew, and so we're still in the process of trying to get back to basics, deliver a really a good experience that allows someone to do something basic on a DEX. So that's why I think I'm really going to try to vote for the maybe just the four current ones, to try to limit what the experience is going to be. Uh, okay. I think someone's saying that my voice is not okay. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, we'll try to fix any audio issues in the next time. But let me finish off the voting with the strategies poll. So the strategies poll, this one is designed to basically select the core strategies, and the way that this impacts the user base is because these are the three strategies our QA team tends to run the most. So whenever, let's say, a new we're running long-term testing bots, and we kind of focus on testing these three strategies with the various connectors. So it's not a guaranteed, but I think the core strategies the code base the users select will likely work better and be better maintained than the other ones. So I think I would say we're actually we're moving away from strategies as a whole because we want to encourage people to encourage customization with scripts. But I do think it's important for just us for maintain a few basic strategies to help people who don't know how to code interact with Hummingbot. So I'm actually going to pick Avalanada, frankly, because I think AMM arbitrage, I feel like it's actually better as a script. On the gateway side, people have you fundamentally have a lot of things you need to control. So I plan on recreating a sample script that basically does exactly what this AMM arbitrage strategy works and it makes it better. So in my opinion, I think we're better served by having a strategy like Avalanada be one of the top ones, or maybe even one of the other perpetual strategies, because I feel like they'll be easier for users to interact with. So I would actually probably pick something like, probably maybe like spot perpetual arbitrage actually as a third strategy, just because I feel like people should be doing something with perpetuals, and I think maybe if one of the core strategies was perpetual related, we would kind of like have the bandwidth to spend more time there. Okay, well, that's it. So now I think I've finished all 4 votes, and so we're doing this because we think, obviously voting is not it's not a fun process, but we think that by doing it this way, hopefully we're making it easier for you guys to vote. Is really every 4 months, every 3 months is really when it's important. But I think we also want to make sure that you know that your votes really do have impact. What exchanges you vote for, and what strategies you vote for, and what issues you vote for is how we respond and where we actually spend our time in the subsequent 3 months. All right, so now I wanted to just give a quick update on how Botcamp, our new dev bootcamp, is going, and then we'll get into the gateway demo to wrap up the call. Okay, so we just started cohort 4. So cohort 4 has 22 students, and because we're trying to make sure we can serve every student properly and improve every cohort, we're going to move to a quarterly cohort model after this. So far, over 80 students have gone through Botcamp, and we're pretty comfortable, with. We think we have something really good here because overall, a lot of students have built really, interesting scripts of their own. A lot of them are actually using it in production, and we think we can actually teach people basically the art and the science of quant trading in a 6-week period and deliver a really fun experience to people. In addition, I think I'm really amazed by kind of what some of the students have done afterwards. They've paired up with other people in the course because it's like an ongoing program. They're joining the new events we're doing. We're doing kind of like ongoing events for all cohorts. And there's a real sense of community that's forming among the Botcamp participants, both the mentors and the students. So that's why we're not a huge hurry to grow it because we want to make sure that the quality of the community and the quality of the student experience is there. But I do want to kind of like publicize it here because we did just open up applications for cohort 5. I think we're going to cap cohort 5 at 30 students. It's not going to start until probably late June. But yeah, it's open already. So if you're interested or if you have questions, please let us know. Because overall, I think that this cohort-based learning kind of process we can do can actually expand dramatically once we get the program in place, even better. But right now, we're really focused on delivering a high-quality experience for everyone that's going through Botcamp. Okay, well, finally, I wanted to show you some of the changes we made to the installation process for Hummingbot Gateway, which I think is going to make it a lot easier. Okay, so let's go through, and I'm going to show you the new deploy examples of repository and walk through how I would use that to install Hummingbot and Hummingbot Gateway together. So as a note, so this is the deploy examples repository here. So you can find this on our github.com/hummingbot/deploy examples. As a note, we're still working on getting the docs in place. So currently, the development branch has more documentation than the main branch. So I'm going to follow what's on the Hummingbot Gateway Compose folder. So this folder has instructions for deploying Hummingbot and Gateway together as a single, in a single step using Docker Compose. So to explain what's really happening here, we a lot of the trouble people have had with Gateway in the past has been kind of like making sure that both the client Hummingbot and Gateway can talk to each other. And this was by design because we wanted to allow multiple Hummingbot clients to connect to a single instance of Gateway, but we also wanted it to be secure. So there's a SSL certificate process where Gateway has to know the passphrase used to generate the certificates, as to be able to access these certificates in order for Hummingbot to communicate to it. So because there's some complexity in setting this up, we've always had to try to help and handhold users a lot to do this. But I think it's a lot easier for users to install this with Docker Compose now. Compose is a tool for running multi-container Docker applications. And we've also found that it scales very well to more complex Hummingbot deployments. For example, once you understand, you can deploy one instance of Hummingbot using Compose. You can deploy a Hummingbot instance linked to a Gateway instance. You can deploy, 3 Hummingbot instances connected to a single Gateway instance. And in the future, with the new broker's orchestration repo, you'll be able to deploy even more complex deployments, like 100 Hummingbot instances controlled by a single master instance or something like that. So that's why we think Compose is a good framework to build on top of, and we want to try to get everyone who's using Docker with Hummingbot to install using Compose like this. So that's what I'll show you here. Okay, so first I would say you should have cloned this repository. So here I'm just on the I'm just on the dev branch here, and all I've done is here. Let me just look at my containers. 1 second. Okay. So I'm actually going to go and delete my containers so I can kind of show you how. Actually, no, I won't do that because that'll probably just make the pulling and downloading process time faster or longer and increase the time of this demo. So just know that if you may want to you're probably starting with a fresh container and image set collection, so you might have a slightly different experience than what I'll show you here. But the steps should be basically the same. So first, you want to make sure that you can access Docker Compose from the command line here. So 1 second. Okay, so basically, if you can access Docker Compose and see this message here, that means that you have access to the tool. If not, the easiest way to access this Compose tool is to install Docker Desktop, which is an application that helps you manage all your containers. It's also GUI, so you can also manage your containers, your images more easily. And after you install Docker Desktop, you should have access to the Compose command in the command line. So then after you do this, the first thing you'll do is we'll need to generate the certificates that Gateway needs. So to do that, first you go into this folder. So every folder has a deploy examples. A Docker Compose YAML file that you'll use to define the Docker Compose configuration. So what that means is, if you go to this Compose directory, you see that there's a Docker Compose YAML file here. So because the first thing we'll do, we'll have to edit this file, but don't worry yet. It'll be very simple. The first thing we'll do is we'll just run this Docker Compose up command over here, and this will create the initial kind of container. So it creates actually two containers, one for Hummingbot client, which is Hummingbot Gateway Compose Bot 1, and then another for the gateway part, which is Hummingbot Compose, this is Gateway 1 bot here. Okay, so now we want to basically attach to the Hummingbot version. So that's this one here. So I'll attach to it. And then and you'll probably have to recreate your password. This is starting at an instance I created previously, so I'll just enter my old password here. And after this step, you will now generate the gateway certs. So that is this step here. So let's see. So after you generate the certs, this is when you're prompted to enter passphrase. This can be the same as your Hummingbot password, or it can be something different. So I will use Gators for mine. But I also want to remember this because I'll need this later on. So mine was Gators. I wrote that down, Gators. And so now I can exit, or I can stop. Well, actually, this should be exit. Exit the client. Okay. So now I'm back here, and now I've generated the clients, but I need to take the network down because we're going to recreate the network afterwards. So I'll take the network down, and now I'm going to edit that Docker Compose YAML file and include the passphrase that I just used to generate the certs. So remember that we have this Docker Compose file here. So I'll go and edit using, well, actually, you know what? Since I'll use VSC, since you guys probably have VSC and not Vim. So VSC, VSC. So it's this Docker Compose file here, and what we want to do is we want to change these two lines here. So I'm going to uncomment them, and I'll change its passphrase to the passphrase I just used to create the gateway, the certs, the certificates for gateway. So edit it. Now I can save the file, and now after I save the file, I can recreate the container by launching Docker Compose up again. And so now Docker Compose has recreated the network using the new configuration file I just put there. And if I did everything correctly, and hopefully I can pray to the demo gods that this works, I should be able to see Gateway attached and online when I log into this instance. Yep, and there you go. So now it says gateway is online. And the reason is because now I added the trading pair properly. And now I can run some of the sample scripts. So I can say start script. Let's see. Let's see. We don't have interesting. We don't have autocomplete on here. Interesting. Oh, that's right. Yeah, I think it's because there are no sample scripts. That's right. Okay. Yes. If we had some sample scripts in our scripts directory, then we can run some. But right now, because I started using Docker, I actually don't have any sample scripts. But I could actually easily pull some, into from the from the scripts folder in the Hummingbot directory. Yeah, so if I did want to run some scripts, all I have to do is just exit this client, and then basically add scripts to the scripts folder here in the Hummingbot files one. And yeah, if I add some scripts here, then I go back and I attached the client again, it should actually run again. So I hope that was just a very simple example of just like the new gateway installation experience. I think that overall, if you follow right now, if you follow the instructions in the deploy examples repository, the development branch, this should be very up to date, and we're in the process of moving this information into the actual docs right now. And I think this is just like one step toward getting gateway fully functional and usable by people. But the longer process, that's probably a longer process that'll take the remainder of this year. But hopefully, by making the installation part better, we can solve one of the biggest bottlenecks that people have, and get at least people able to use gateway going forward. Okay, so so I think I'll stop there. I think this is a good time to end the call for today. But if I'll keep it open for another few minutes, and just to see what people are talking about in the chat. I'll actually pull the chat over here, so we can see the community call, the chat here. And if you have any questions, please add them here, and I can basically do an AMA for the last few minutes. So AMA, yes, here we go. Let's see. So let me look at these questions here, the comments. So yeah, I think it's good to see actually 17 people in the audience, because when we were doing these calls last year, we had like 30 plus people, I think, on Discord. When we moved over to YouTube, it was falling down to like 10 people per stream, and plus like we just weren't getting much comments because it's YouTube, not Discord. So I'm happy to see that there's more commentary. It feels like a warmer environment on Discord, honestly, and I think this is just a better home for community calls going forward. Let's see. Just looking for some of the questions. Just we are adding also the injective connector as well. It's another order book DEX that we're excited about, and there's both a spot connector and a perpetual connector. It's actually kind of a hybrid because it uses kind of like the Python SDK on the client side, but it also has gateway because it uses the nonce manager aspect of gateway. So I think overall it's a good high quality exchange and connector on Cosmos. So I think it should be a good one to add to the list. All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining this call. I think I am recording it, so we'll probably publish this on YouTube in the next few days as well. And as always, I hope to see you next time. We're actually going to do another. We're doing a how-to call. In 2 weeks, the Fade will be running here, and then I'll see you back here for the monthly call again at the beginning of April. Thanks, everyone. Bye. Oh, May. Bye.